Hey, Pamela from MV Chef here to show you how to make a neat loaf. No meat, no eggs, lots of veggies, whole grains, and chopping and dicing. So let's get started. So this should really be called everything but the kitchen sink loaf. It won't resemble a meatloaf in the meaty hamburger sense, but it's very healthy. It's got a lot of good goodies in here. So let's get going, and in no particular order, you're just going to add all your ingredients into one large bowl. So I've got my rice cooking behind me. I'm just going to start chopping up nuts and getting veggies ready and all that other good stuff that's called for in this recipe. All right, so I'm adding my chopped walnuts. I'm adding my wheat germ, Bob's Red Mill I'm using. I'm adding my organic, they don't have to be organic, but rolled oats. Next, I'm adding my chopped mushrooms. I'm using crimini, but you could use white button or shiitake or another kind of mushroom. And yes, you could also use a processor to chop these up faster, doing the old-fashioned way, therapeutic way of chopping. I only need a cup, so with these big mushrooms, it's not going to take me much to get to a cup. All right, there's my chopped mushrooms. And I think I'm going to go for my bell pepper next. Chop this guy up. This is 2/3 a cup, but that's about not quite a whole good sized bell pepper. Depends how finely you chop it. All right, so I have my bell pepper. Add it to the mix. This could also be called the therapy loaf if you do all your chopping by hand, like I do. What's next? Let's do an onion and cry. I feel like crying, a good cry. No, hopefully not. You'll never know. I won't let you see me cry. It's a generous 2/3. That's okay. You don't have to be 100% precise in a recipe like this. Next, we have our carrots, and you can shred these or finely chop them. And because I'm using little mini ones, I'm going to just chop them. Don't shred the tips of my fingers that way. Finally chop it. All right, there's my 1/2 cup of chopped carrots. All right, now I'll add my spices. 1/2 teaspoon of sage. Of thyme, I'm using dried, but if you have fresh, that's even better. And marjoram, which I rarely use. Give it that earthy flavor. Now I'm adding my My soy sauce, you can use a low sodium, no sodium, if you're watching your sodium. Now I'll add my Dijon mustard. This is all stuff to help bind it together. Now I'm adding a very generous tablespoon of peanut butter. The recipe calls for creamy, but you can use crunchy. That's just a little thicker. I'm using an egg replacer instead of eggs. I'm using this brand, but there are other ones out there. And it's a vegetable-based emulsifier. And I've got the equivalent of 3 eggs. Just stirring this up to get the lumps out. But I'm not going to add it till I get the rice in here. That's the last ingredient. It's still finishing up cooking behind me. And I'll add the rice, a cup of brown cooked rice, and then the egg replacer. I think that's it. I think I got everything in here now. My rice is finally finished, so I'm adding that. Brown rice. Extra gooey. And my egg replacer. All right, so I'm just gonna mix all this up. It's well blended and moistened. Everything is all gooey and sticking together. Okay, and I have a greased loaf pan all ready to go. Hard time saying that fast. So I'm just gonna put this mixture in there. If you weren't watching though, I'd be using my hands. My hands can help, how about that? This is gonna fill this up over the top. And so it should be gooey, sticky, all to hold together. Well, I'm just gonna kind of shape that in there a little bit better. And into the oven it goes at 350 for about an hour, so uncovered. You want a golden brown. You want it to set and cook and be sliceable. There it is, out of the oven, all brown on top, cooling, and then I'll slice it up, maybe drizzle a little gravy on there. So you've got yourself a neat loaf. I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time on NZ Chef.